43.
42. 41.
40.
39.
Number 1.
39.
38.
37.
36. 35.
34.
33. 32.
31.
30. 29.
28.
27.
26.
25.
24.
23.
21.
20.
19.
18.
17. 16.
15.
14.
13.
12.
11.
10. 9. 8.
7. 6. 5.
4.
3.5.
3.
2.
1.
Hey, Rocky, you want to see me pull a show out of my hat? Nothing up my sleeve. Presto! And welcome to the Mouthwash Talk Show, a minty, fresh take on politics. And wow, we got a lot of stuff going on. Hopefully you were able to tune in for witty reviews. He was ADHD of topics tonight. He was all over the board, bing, 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 and covered it all. He's definitely, if he ever runs for office again, they got some pretty choice clips out of that show. So he's holding nothing back. No holds barred on that one. But so you can catch him every Tuesday on the Chateau de Marseille Studio Network at 8 p.m. And then sometimes on Saturday he does a show, but this next Saturday it will not be on our network, but it's on his YouTube channel. You can follow him there for his Saturday show. He actually lets his hair down a little bit more than he does on the Tuesday night. I try to keep him to make it a little bit family friendly, and he's getting better. He's getting better, but he still has his moments. But wait, tonight we have a show. We have been sort of teasing this as we have evidence of campaign finance fraud. I can just say that right now and not have to worry about getting sued because we have the evidence. And we're going to be talking about that tonight. I have David Waters coming on with the panel. And David he's got time on his hands, and he's been digging into some of these things, the fairgrounds, Marion County Fairgrounds and their shenanigans. Alleged shenanigans. Let's make that clear. Alleged shenanigans. And then also some campaign finance reporting that has got him in some hot water with a local attorney. A local attorney. And he's being sued, as well as I'm being sued for defamation. I think I made fun of his cat or his haircut or something. It's something that's really, really was hurt his feeling. But that's getting ready to come to a screeching halt for him. He just doesn't know it yet. But anyway, we have a good show tonight. We're going to talk about campaign finance reporting. And I just wonder why we cannot get anybody to hold these people accountable. Apparently, you can write on your campaign. You can be a treasurer for 2 different city councilmen here in Marion County, and you can write on that campaign report of certain number, the same number on each campaign, and put it as unitemized contributions. I don't know how you can do that, because if you donate to one of these campaigns and it's $100 or more, it needs to be noted that you were donated that. Well, in 2021, Cindy Mowry was the treasurer of Brian Mowry's and Paulinet's account. Well, they had a little get together and people brought in checks and they paid cash. And there's a list of those people. And lo and behold, their campaign finance did not list them. Now, here's where the evidence comes in. I have text messages and messages from people that were at the event in question that year that did write checks, and I have the evidence. And some of those people aren't just Joe Blow and Jane Doe and John Doe. These are like maybe ex-senators, maybe people on boards. And hey, folks, those people are not in trouble. I appreciate them being honest, and I am not going to drop their names because I don't think that they deserve it, because they're not the ones that have created this fraud on their campaign finance. And in all fairness, they could go back and they could amend these things. They could amend them to show that but I don't think they can because they don't know. But guess what? I got the list. I got the list for both of those individuals. And they've been made aware only one of the individuals is made aware of the list that I have. The other list is quite extensive, and it totals up to about 20K. So there is something there. Now, you say, well, why isn't this being investigated? Well, it goes to the local Marion County Election Board, and they're supposed to open up an investigation. But they don't seem to really think that's important, just as they didn't think it was important when my wife, Lisa, was running for council, and her opponent's family was inside the chute of one of the voter centers, and refused to leave for 2 or 3 hours. And yet they didn't think that was worth looking at. They didn't think that was worth writing down or anything. So I think the biggest question is tonight is, what does our Marion County Election Board do? Why isn't, I know there's only one Republican on there, but why doesn't that Republican ask these questions? I think we can find out tonight. And I do hope that Cindy Mowry's watching tonight. I reached out to her by text message and asked her if she had any updates or if she had a statement or anything, and nothing back. And I saw that it was delivered, so she can't say I didn't get it. So she's been offered the opportunity to come on and talk about these things. So we're going to talk about that. And I think David wants to bring up some stuff about the fairgrounds as well, but I think we're going to concentrate on this election stuff right now and to see what we can do about this. How do we hold people accountable when they do not follow the rules? So I'm going to bring David on right now. And hello, Mr. Waters. How are you this evening?
Oh, I'm doing great. How are you, John?
I'm doing okay. Well, you saw I put Truth Seeker on there because you don't really have a title, but I think that maybe some people might call you pain in the ass because, when you start digging on something, you like that little edge of the tape, and you just keep picking on it till you pull that piece of tape off. And you are quite diligent. And I have said this to your face before. I think you're smarter than the average bear. Let's say that.
Well, you're too kind with those words, but yeah, I don't mind being the tip of the spear. That's for sure.
Yeah. And so, we're going to talk about this campaign. And hey, raise your hand if you're being sued by Abdul. So, yeah. I don't know the ins and outs of yours, but I think yours was basically just for asking a question of the election board. I don't know if we could get into these case things. My things, I think I made fun of his cat or something. I don't know what I heard, what feeling I heard of his, but it's a big nothing burger, and that'll all bear out in time. But if you're a lawyer and you're bullying people with your law degree, I just don't think that's very nice or kind. Do you?
No, I don't. And I would agree that he certainly appears to be bullying with his law degree. And so I'm willing to test that because I think he's a bully. I don't like bullies, never have liked bullies. And you're right, John, I do have time on my hands.
Yep. Well, let's dig into this thing. Now, you've been looking at these campaign finance things. Now, this is Cindy Mowry. Now, she's in voter registration. She was the vice chair of the Marion County GOP. She's no longer that. She sits on the Marion County Fair Board as a president. She was on there and then had trouble with an employee, a friend of ours. Then she stepped down, and then our buddy Abdul stepped in, which I never could figure that one out. I said, this guy, does he have any fair board experience? Does he have any fair? How does he get in there? I'm still asking that question. How do you think, Abdul's my guy, I'm going to put him in there? So he lasted about 6 months there, and then somebody figured it out. And then guess who came back? so it just
bad rash.
It is. It's like a bad. That'll be clipped and put in court, I'm sure. But anyway, what we're going to talk about is truth. I know we sort of tongue in cheek a little bit here, but like I said, we're a minty fresh take on politics. We try to take the edge off of the seriousness, but this is a serious issue. Campaign finance it needs to be reported correctly. If you give money to a campaign, by law, by rules, you are supposed to report it on your financing. So I've set it up for you. Go ahead and tell us your version of what we're talking about tonight. And then we'll get the panel on here and we'll get this thing going.
Well, who would you like to start with? I mean, Abdul, we could talk about Abdul. We could talk about Natalie Goodwin and her campaign finance, Abdul's campaign finance. We could talk about Va Basili's campaign finance. So It
Well, let's do this. Let's focus on Cindy Maury. If we have some time, we'll move to some other things. But the common theme is that these folks have not really done. And correct me if I'm wrong. You can amend these at any time, right? And I know that in Vop's case, he went all the way back to 2012 and amended things.
Well, sure. I mean, I don't disagree. I mean, you can amend, but what I don't agree with is that they do all this on the down low. The election board is a public body, and those documents are part of the public's work. And so when that election board meets, it's doing the public's work, which needs to be open according to open door law. So
and
when
you've had, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you've had a lot of trouble getting information. Is that, and you've actually been to these meetings and they've actually thrown you out. Am I off base there?
No, then you're right on target there. I mean, my first meeting that I went to was November of 22, and Mila Eldridge was on her way out because the election, and they fielded a question from me. There wasn't room on the agenda, and I just made a point of order. I was recognized. I asked the question, and I was told you need to come back in January of 23, which was Kate Sweeney Bell's first. So from that November meeting on, I was asking, hey, what do I do to get on the agenda? How's this all work and whatnot? Well, lo and behold, that you can watch the tape on that January 23 meeting, but it started out, I didn't like what I heard, and
it went bad from there. Yeah. Well, and you know what? If you're going to sit on a board, you need to be able to take the heat. So, and we have Tiffany on here with Micah Beckwith. They were on the Hamilton East County Library Board, and guess what? They took the heat. They
right.
sat there and they let them have a microphone and let them back and forth, but that's not the case for this. So we would like to see, and this is just one of the issues of transparency that we see with Marion County Election Board. And, you know, it's made up of a Democrat, of a Republican, and the clerk. Is that correct?
Yes, the Democrat is appointed by the chairman of the Democrat Party. The Republican is appointed by the chair of the Republican Party. And then, of course, the clerk is elected. And then here at a recent election board meeting, the election board made a motion to kind of turn over all of the campaign finance stuff pretty much to the clerk. So Jennifer Ping and Nolita Stewart, the two appointees, effectively aren't even involved anymore in any of the campaign finance stuff because they've delegated, as a board, they've delegated those responsibilities to that one member of the board, which is the clerk.
So in other words, they basically buried it, and there's no thing. So I want to give I know Lucy's not quite to her computer yet, and I see Tiffany's not got her screen on. So I'm giving them warning that they're getting ready to come on. So Brad is ready to go. Brad's ready to go. He was on the Witty Show in the chat, and he got
kicked out.
Yeah, he got kicked out for. Oh, look, you got the Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Yeah.
Is that a hint to the Bud Light people that
I'm just,
old school in it? So
solidarity with.
So let's bring Brad on here. Hey, Brad, what's happening?
Hey guys.
Let's put you up here. Well, maybe I can't move anybody all of a sudden. Oh,
yeah, David. Good to meet you. Thank you.
Solidarity, buddy.
Yeah.
Oh, and John, you mentioned but Micah and Tiffany, they earned that heat.
Oh no, I didn't say anything about the heat, but they took it. I think the election board is earning their heat because how can you not investigate these things when we have evidence that there's been fraud committed here? It's cut and dried. We have a campaign finance report. They have put a number down. It says unitemized, right there, unitemized. And yet I have people that donated checks and cash that I have it. I have that and those people. And again, those people are not in trouble. It's the people that report these things that are in trouble. And you being a librarian and dotting I's and crossing T's all day, how important is it to keep good records? It's pretty
thorough.
Yeah, you even got a decimal
and you have
system.
we go through audits all the time, so it blows my mind when people get away with things for such a long time, and I'm like, who was checking this then? If this is the case.
So Brad, you guys really do pay attention and follow the alphabet?
We do. ABC order. Like that's as far as I got though. It's not
Okay, sure. Yeah, just want to make sure.
paragraphs.
Yeah,
too much.
and so I guess I'm going to ask both of you, why do you think that they don't address these? I mean, they're not even bringing it up for anything. It's like, it's like the complaint against Lisa's opponent. That should have at least been on the record.
How quickly are they supposed to that's what I mean. Like, is there a law about how quickly they have to respond or anything like that? Is there a process? And if they're in charge of the process, then sorry, we're kind of screwed. I feel like.
David can go over this for you in quite detail. So,
well, in a nutshell, yes, there are laws, but no one enforces them. Who enforces them? Now,
Marion County Prosecutor's Office, I hear, does a bang up job. I keep hearing his name.
Yeah, I think him and Kate Sweeney Bell are really good friends.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, there is no one. This is a public board, and in my humble opinion, when they say it like that, it's up to the public to be the police. So this is the court of public opinion, and you go to the election board when you have a grievance, and if the election board doesn't hear your grievance, you can appeal, and you can appeal to the Marion County Superior Court. That's the process, and so it's not a usual process, but when you're talking about campaign finance issues, all of that by state law has been given to the various election boards. This happened to be campaign finance in Marion County, so it's the Marion County Election Board that has sole jurisdiction. And Brad King over at the Secretary of State's office in the election division has made that abundantly clear, that this is all election board. You don't even start in the courts first. Mm-hmm. You go to the election board, and that's how it works.
So now you have a writ of mandamus. Am I correct in this? Can you explain that and why you ended up with that route?
That, well, as I did my own investigation, it was a writ of mandamus that is the appeal of a decision made by the election board. The election board's not a Politburo. They don't have, they're not the end of the road. They are the primary body responsible for making the primary decisions. But like everybody, every organized body in our government, those decisions can be appealed. So tell me what decision can't be appealed. So the election board, who do you appeal to? Well, you appeal, in this case, to the Marion County Superior Court. And how do you do that? Through a writ of mandamus. That's just saying to the court, we'll review the evidence, because you're a de facto appeals court.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, you said like it's on the public to kind of police it. So John, you were right that he does have the time on his hands to do that, right?
Yeah,
like, it seems like it's like a full-time kind of a thing to.
They count on that.
They just try to wear you down.
Yes, they count on that. And you know what? I'm going to probably come at this from a fraud angle. David's doing the writ of mandamus. I'm going to come at it from the fraud side, and I'm still deciding whether I want to file something. I despise lawsuits. I despise it. But that's what our system is. That's what our system does. And that is our only recourse, is to do that. And, when you have the evidence, I mean, the stone cold evidence against this fraud, and nothing gets done, people should be more alarmed. And this has gone on for years. And, it's like, well, who's going to stop this? Who's got the time? David's got the time. Personally, I don't have the time. I honestly don't. I barely put on this show every week. And
it's like, yeah, you said it. Who's got the time for this? Like,
yeah. Well, and so they hope for that.
And we're all free, and we are all kind of freaking out about different things too.
Well, Brad,
because there is so many things to freak out about, I guess, too.
Brad, you're a librarian, so you read, right? You read books. Yep. Okay. Well, I read, and I got tired of reading the phone book, so I started reading Indiana election law, which is
riveting.
Which is 900 pages.
Yes.
And there's 900 pages to Indiana election law. So, you know, I was a pharmacist for 25 years. Okay. And so the pharmacist is the only healthcare team member that's required to pass a jurisprudence or a law exam. So you have to have federal law, and then you have to have individual state law. So I was licensed in Colorado and I was licensed in Indiana. So I had different state law sets to learn, plus federal law to learn. And then pretty much regularly in the work environment, you are required to know those laws because all the other team members don't.
Yeah. I'm telling you, if you want to know something, you talk to David. He'll explain it to you, and he usually knows it. So hold that thought, guys. I see Lucy's ready to come on. Let's bring on Lucy. And Lucy, you've been able to listen, correct?
Yeah, there was about 4 minutes that I wasn't able to listen, but I was appalled to learn that nobody knows the laws but David. I mean, this is crazy.
Yeah,
so obviously when it comes to election law, he's paying attention, categorizing what's right and what's wrong.
Well, Lucy, I do have to remind you that he is part of the Schmitz cabal of crazy. You know, he is definitely in that. Yeah. He's
welcome, fellow insane person.
Yes. So that is true. And you know what? That's what they tried to discourage and destroy. That's what their policy is. And we've seen that really at a deep level.
Is it kind of that we're used to getting things so quickly too, that a lot of these appeals and a lot of these other things are taking way too long? You know?
100%.
Well, and then some of us want to smear in their smear campaign documents that they put out on a regular basis. And so, you know, they smear all they want to in those things, but I'll just sum it up in one word, and that's turd blossom.
Now that I can't wait for a judge to have to read that. Whitty was cracking me up.
But that's one word?
Well, that's actually,
well,
I don't know. Is it too?
Well,
it's a noun phrase. How about that?
Yeah, it depends on if it's springtime or summertime.
Yeah. Yes.
It's all, but you know, that's part of you know, as public figures and different things, we're going to be prone to those kind of comments, you know, cabal of crazy, vampire blood sucking supporters. What was the other one? Convict fugitive supporters. You know, that's what people have been called. And you know what? There's a saying that my wife has in the bathroom right down there. It says, right, live in such a way if someone is to speak poorly of you, no one would believe it. And, you know, that is where we're at this time because, hey, you know, before I had to sit and take it, but now we got this little show called Mouthwash. And we have people that obviously you could see on here. We don't have Tiffany on yet, but she's crazy. Well, speaking of crazy, I do see Tiffany. Tiffany, it's great of you to join us. Oh, you're muted. She's watching the something, or I can't hear you.
Fever are playing right now too.
Oh yeah, I know.
And they're winning.
Well, that's good. If they don't win, they go home. So
they stay home.
We know you're a big fan and all that, and that's good. But this is serious business here. We're doing.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes.
Wait a second.
Finance reports. Yes.
We got something totally wrong here. Oh, now that's
there.
Better.
We go. Thank you.
Woo. So have you caught up on anything here on what we're talking about?
I've been listening the whole time.
Okay, good. I thought you might be. So anyway, we don't have to recap, which we will do if we have to. So Tiffany, you've been listening, putting you on the spot. What do you think? I mean, you know, you've won election. You know what it's like. How was your campaign? How was your campaign finance?
What's the question?
Well, was your campaign finance? Did you take a lot of time and effort and make sure that it's all good? I know you did. So why do you think it's fair for you to do that, but yet other candidates, they don't have to do it?
Well, I guess you only know what you know. So, well, there's your interpretation of it. So I would hate for somebody to go through my reports and find something that was egregious and wrong, and to be able to prove that I did it. You know what my intent was, if I knew better, or if they're, you know what I'm saying? You don't want people to lie in the reports, because it's indicative of other things oftentimes.
Yeah, and we could make an honest mistake. I've made a couple honest mistakes on mine, and I've let them know, and I've changed it, and I've made it right. But in this case, it is so egregious that it is. That's where I think our issue is. Okay, so where did this money go? How did it get? You don't know that. We just don't know these things.
How much money is missing?
It's about $20K.
Well, wait for Abdul.
Oh, well, that's a whole nother one. And Bob Osley, there's a whole nother one there.
Yeah.
I guess and I want to stay focused on, I guess, this question of why do these folks get away with it? And Tiffany and myself and David Waters, you filled out a campaign finance report. I know it had hundreds of thousands of dollars listed as contributions. I just know it did. Yeah, right. I know we all laugh. I think you could add all of ours up and it wouldn't add up to a whole lot. But,
hundreds of pennies.
Yeah, it was so much I couldn't count it hardly, but I did because I wanted to fill it in right. So I guess, what's the solution here? I mean,
I think the solution is this nonsense about the election board and the collecting. I went to a number of the election board meetings, and here in 25, you've had outside counsel Brad Boswell explain to the election board that their job is more than just collecting these campaign finance forms. Here's an example.
Actually look at them.
Yeah, this campaign finance form is the same form that any candidate for any office in the state of Indiana, they all use these forms. Who do you turn this form into? There's one of two places. Either you're a candidate that turns it into the Secretary of State, or you're a candidate that turns it into your county's election board. That's it. And
I made that mistake once. I turned it into the
wrong place.
County. Yeah, and it cost me $50. But
right.
Well, lesson well earned.
The election board.
$50.
Yeah, it's per day. $50 per day. So when I went to it, Denise Hatch, she had $1,000 because she didn't turn it. She did a lot of days to get to that fine.
Well, the election board Brad Boswell had to explain to them that your job is more than just collecting. That's all they would do. And you should see some of these examples of what they collect. They're barely filled out. Here's one, barely, you can't see it, but it's barely filled out.
Yeah, but the candidate didn't know that you had to fill it out that.
No.
This candidate, this treasurer is on the. You're going to make me come through this friggin' thing and punch you, Brad. No. So the candidate is on. She's a voter registration. She's in charge of voter registration. There's zero, absolutely zero excuses here. Zero, absolutely zero. Brad, I'm gonna boot you from the show too. Yeah. It's like, yeah, Brad. Now, you like this show.
There you go. Yeah.
No, I wouldn't do that to you, Brad. I wouldn't do that to you. Now I got a mess going on my hands here. So, okay, now I'm dizzy.
So, if you want to talk about the fairgrounds, what they don't do. They're a nonprofit, 501c3. They are incorporated in the state of Indiana. So they are a non-government entity. They are an NGO. And they were formed back in 1934 is where it starts, 34 or 36, something like that. And they've been grandfathered into current law. So they are a public charity here in the state of Indiana. And by law, they have to fill out a Form 990, which is their tax return. That's all nonprofits fill out a Form 990, and it's due every year. And if you miss your deadline, there's a $20 a day fine for every day that you're late. And there's no record on the IRS website for filings for 22, 23, or 24. And I got copies from the fairgrounds. They finally responded, and the copies they sent me are deficient. They're supposed to send me the copies that were accepted by the IRS, not filed with or whatever, accepted. That's what it says in IRS regulations. They have to show me what the IRS agreed to take, and they didn't.
Hey, David, this reminds me of Cindy Mowry when she was at the Franklin Township GOP, and she held up a piece of paper and said, "I took a lie detector test."
Right.
And I'm like, okay, what was the questions? What was, it almost looked like a cheap Perry Mason rerun. It was ridiculous. So it's all smoke and mirrors.
It is. That lie detector test was almost as if she stood up there and say, "Look, everybody, I won at tic-tac-toe."
Yeah, I won rock,
Did
paper,
people
scissors.
gasp? Were they like,
No, they looked at their shoes and everybody just shook their head.
right? Like,
Because
who the
what
hell
happens
does-
if you question this person, they'd start to discourage and destroy routine and rinse and repeat.
And that's all you try to do. You try to ask legitimate questions. I've been trying to ask legitimate questions. For instance, on this particular Form 990, it's the 2022 Form 990. They declare that they received in donations $100,000 from the City County Council, the fairgrounds. But in the State Board of Accounts report about Cindy Mowry and how she misused fairground money to have her house repaired, that State Board of Accounts report said 2022 was $150,000. So the State Board of Accounts says City County gave 150. The Fair Board only reports receiving 100.
Oh, those pesky details. Come on, David. What's the matter with you?
I know. What is the matter with me? I just
Everybody
want my number.
rounds down. Everybody rounds
Yeah,
down.
Jerry Lopez is in the and he talks about, he said, "Nice to meet you, David," because you're always tagging him. Because, hey, Jerry, if you're going to be a person on the WIBC and you're doing a good job on there, I always listen to you.
Yeah,
you do a great
Jerry's
job.
good to
You're a
listen to.
breath of fresh air considering
What's
some
the
of the
deal?
people
But
that
I got something to say about that. You guys are all like tech savvy and all that stuff, and you guys spend a lot of time on the internet and doing videos and whatnot. What's the big deal about getting tagged? I get tagged in all sorts of kind of crap on Facebook.
you can
and I ignore it. But I tagged somebody the other day, and quit tagging me.
Oh, I'm getting tagged by
You really want to up the relationship when you do that.
Well, you can put your
advice,
settings. You can
tagging
go
is
in. You can go into your settings on Facebook, and you can put. You have to authorize all the tagging.
I guess my larger point is all this Facebook stuff. This isn't real relationship shit. This is like cyber relationships, all bullshit, and it doesn't mean anything because you're not in the same room with the same individual. And I'm sorry, it's just not the same.
Okay, this is.
I'm going to base all my emotions on how I interact upon that too. So it's
right
verifying.
So this is, Jerry says, legitimately, if this was all a farce, wouldn't someone take it head on just to shut people up, to ignore it while it's loud and almost giving it credibility? So,
credibility. All right. So we'll move on from the fair boards for a second. We'll go to Abdul, my favorite guy. And what do I have a complaint about him?
Can you give a background to this, though? Because
Sure.
I've never really...
This is Abdul ran for mayor in 2023. And he filed a pre-primary report, which covered part of 23. He filed a pre-election report, which covered another part of 23. And then he filed a final report, which covered the whole year of 23. So he amended, those are the three reports. he amended each one of those reports. So he filed initial, and then amended. So the amended ones are supposed to be the right ones now, and you can ignore the initial, right? So his amended pre-primary says that he ended the reporting period April 7, 2023, with over $77,000 cash in the bank. So if you go to bed April 7 and you wake up on April 8, which is the start of the new reporting period, what would you, Brad, use as your starting number for the new period? If you ended with 77,000, what would you start?
This is a trick question that Brad's going to get wrong.
Right.
Well, I mean, yeah, from 11:59 to midnight, a lot can happen. So I don't.
The Tooth Fairy got it.
I don't
That's
really
what
know
happened.
yet.
The Tooth Fairy came in.
Right. So he starts the new reporting period with $33,000.
Right.
Oh, so it didn't just go to zero? Because that would have, you know.
That would have been
So, you know, like,
too obvious.
Then you could have been like, oh, yeah, I forgot.
it was that instantaneous thing that happens at the strike of midnight. It was like magic, poof, pow, $33,000 just evaporates. So he starts the next period with $33,000 while he ended the previous period with 77. So it doesn't take rocket science. That's just looking at one return and saying, okay, yeah, it's just like you're balancing your checkbook. You end September. You end September with the dollar amount you expect to start October with that dollar amount.
Now this is sort of the reason why he's doing a defamation suit against you. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Did we just make another one?
So I'm going to give Abdul some free advice. It's not legal advice. It's not anything. You know what? Instead of suing David, maybe you should hire him as your treasurer because he knows what's going on. Apparently, I don't know who your treasurer is. I looked on there. It's a bunch of chicken scratch. There's no real signatures. It's some internet signature.
Caleb.
But that's like how Tiffany brought up earlier. Like there should be somebody in charge of that for the candidate.
Well, there is. I mean, it's the candidate. I mean, when you file as a candidate, you fill out your CFA-1, which is your statement of organization. And on that statement of organization, you're going to identify a treasurer. You're going to identify a campaign manager. You're going to identify the candidate. And those three positions, they can all be the same person, or you can have three different people or whatever. There's laws and rules and crap about all that stuff. But nevertheless, you're the big boys and girls. You are those people that you're asking for, Brad. You are you're declaring that when you fill out these forms that you are going to abide by state law. And you're at least going to read the damn thing.
But there's two separate issues. There's the abiding by state law, and then there's the
campaign finance law.
There's the money that doesn't make it to the report. So there's two.
Well, that's still state law.
Well, yeah. I think it's kind of if somebody skims and then they report what they have, then they're kind of following the law. But I think the bigger issue is one's internal concept where doing the other kind of stuff kind of comes to play.
I don't know what that means. $33,000 goes missing and nobody asks any questions. And when I do,
well, it depends on who.
What the hell?
No, it's kind of like
that's bullshit.
So the issue is the missing money.
You damn straight it is. Where'd it go?
But was their paperwork correct?
No, it can't be correct. It's not there. And the problem is it's unitemized and itemized contributions.
I get you. But there's two issues. There's the moral part of it, and then there's the law.
And they fail on both of them.
I'm talking about one's personal morality, and then I'm talking about following the law of.
It might be bad, but it's not illegal.
And you think an attorney would be able to at least get the law right. You know, so I want to. We're
Well,
going to
they're
get.
two
We're going to have.
separate
We're going to
issues.
get people angry here. I want to get Lucy's opinion because she's a libertarian. I want to hear what kind of paperwork you had to fill out, and did you have to turn into election board? Did you ever get any sanctions? Did you ever have any comments, or what do you fill us in on that?
Well, as a libertarian, these seem like astronomical amounts. When I ran for United States Senate in 2016 and 2018, of course, I did the CFA 1 and, all of the campaign finance reports that you have to do. It's very serious if you don't turn them in. The fines really start to pile up. My strategy was probably not the best one. I raised just over $5,000 each time to make sure that I qualified to be required to report federally so that
Right.
people could see that I was a serious candidate. However, the fraud that is inherent in the system and the power to tax is the power to destroy, because we all know taxation is theft. It was $55 million raised in the 2016 election just for the one Senate seat that I ran in against former Governor Evan Bayh and Todd Young. And that was 90 million when it was Mike Braun and Joe Donnelly. So what we have to see here is, gosh, $30,000, $40,000 seems like a lot, but it's a rounding error on these other big campaigns because the fraud.
No, I'm not going to buy that. If that's supposed to be some kind of argument to like forget $33,000. No, this is local elections. This means a lot of money in this particular political arena. And this $33,000 is just the tip of the iceberg. If you talk about bigger money, let's talk about Vapasili. We're talking about $190,000 that's on paper. That's just right there in front of you. I'm just saying, you just print the reports, you look at them, and
the bones are in the graveyard. So Haas brings up a good point here. Gabe Whitley went to prison for campaign finance fraud. Now his was federal, and his problem was he said he had this much money but didn't.
Here's what Vapasili is doing. He is claiming to contribute to Andre Carson as an example. Andre's just one, but he claims to contribute, and he does contribute as an individual, Vapasili. But when it comes to his campaign finance forms for the state of Indiana, he files initial forms that don't say anything about Andre Carson. But then he'll amend those campaign finance reforms and later claim that, well, Vapasili, loaned my local campaign account the money, and then it was my local campaign account that contributed to Andre Carson. Okay, there's federal law that says you can't do that. That's called federal campaign finance law.
That's when you go to jail for it. Well,
it's not necessarily Andre Carson's fault, but Vapasili is on the hook because he's filling out a federal document as an individual, but then turning around and using it on another document, which is a state document, but still a legal document, and he's perpetrating a fraud there, bouncing it off of a federal campaign and twisting it around. You can't make a contribution in the name of one entity and then claim it in the name of another entity.
Yeah.
That violates campaign finance.
All right. So Jerry Lopez, he's WIBC. He's Indy Spanglish on Twitter. He's got outspoken guy. He doesn't understand this, and we're probably talking a little bit over some people's head. So he says, if $33K was spent on baloney, would it be illegal as long as I claim the $44K for reporting? Not saying that it wouldn't be messed up, but as a newbie, as a guy that doesn't know, does it only the number on paper matter as long as you have it, or do they check for how it's spent? Is that on the record?
Yes.
Does it have to be?
That's all prescribed in Indiana law. When you contribute to a campaign, you're contributing to a new legal entity.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you're creating this straw man, if you will, if you want to call it that, because that's what it turns out to be.
Mine was more like the scarecrow because it didn't have a brain. But
Right.
anyway.
So you're creating a legal entity, and when you give to this legal entity, in a sense, the way I read that campaign finance law is you're giving that money to the campaign, to the political process. So kiss it goodbye. It went to the political process. Now it either gets spent by the political campaign that you gave it to, and if they have at the end of their campaign, at the end of their run, they say, let's say they lose like Abdul did, he loses and he's got surplus campaign cash left over. Or even while during the campaign, all of those contributions that people gave to him, that's legally prescribed what you can spend that money on. That's it. And it's a list it can be pretty generous, but then there is a lot of gray in it. And I'm saying you went well beyond the gray and you crossed that line wherever the hell it is. It's hard to see because of the way the law is written, but I'm saying it's out there and you crossed it. And that's all I'm saying when it comes to Abdul. And I'm saying the same thing about Avapasili and Natalie Goodwin and all of these other campaign finance issues. So you look at all these documents that are on record and they're right there in front and nobody is looking at them.
Somebody's looking at them. It's you. And,
right.
And
the only one.
And, there's been obviously media outlets have been beating your door down to
No, they know about this. They know about.
Oh, I know that was being sarcastic.
No, they knew about this before I did. I tried contacting them, and what little response I got back was, "We've already reported on that, and nobody gives a shit."
Yeah, well, you got a celebrity here in Indianapolis, Jerry Lopez, on the radar. I mean, he's trying to figure this stuff out, and it basically comes down to whose toes are you stepping on, and how much power do they have. Now, I want to change this totally off the subject to this data center. Now, as of right now, we have 17 or so councilmen that are, I'm voting no on this. I'm voting on. Now, there's going to be some severe arm twisting going on. We've already seen the Franklin Township school superintendent, which I've heard speak before, seemed like a darn nice guy, flip-flop. He came out and said, "My gosh, I'm against it. We're not doing it." And
John, I don't think it's arm twisting though. It's palm greasing.
Is that Chase Hoteri?
I don't know who it is.
I think it's Chase Hoteri, isn't it?
Yeah, he was at the Franklin Township thing and he was speaking, like I said, and I know these folks are in a position, and you know what? I'd be all for this data center if it didn't drain our electric, our water, and they got a tax abatement. If they want to pay, I mean, think about it. They're going to have 50 employees.
If all those consequences were gone, that'd be great.
I think we need data. I mean, Mouthwash would be, and probably, international by now if we had another data center.
Yeah, we need those.
We need raises is what we
can make.
Yeah, I'm doubling your salary for sure.
We need those data centers so we can make all those AI videos of political people dancing naked on stages.
Yeah, well, and that never apparently.
There we go.
So there's just a lot of baloney, and I don't know if it's, shows like ours, or there's tons of other shows. I know Beyond Formal, he's going to route, and we got Witty Reviews, he's very entertaining, and he does actually do research and digs into these things. Is that the reason some of this stuff is finally seeing the light of day? Because I get so very frustrated when somebody calls me. We've had Janae on, and we've had various people on that have been pretty much just done wrong by the system. Beth and Joe Krasia, that was nothing but lawfare, unfairness, scapegoat, garbage, and it needs to get undone. It just does. You can't give them back what they lost, but at least you could give the guy's dignity back. So we're still going to be trying to work on getting that done. They've been going to the political things, talking to the people. To me, it's a no-brainer. You're going to be able, if you're running for office, I help these folks out. This is why he was escaped. Writes itself. But, and this is another case. Why would a politician jump on your bandwagon, David, or our bandwagon? because they're going to have to do more work now. If I could just go to my finance report
Yeah,
and
I
put
don't.
down a number and send it in without doing any of that, all that tedious stuff that I had to do to put down who donated it, when they donated it, who accepted it, it's work. I don't
Well,
think they want to do the work.
that's and that's the sad thing, and that apparently that's where I guess maybe uh, I don't tolerate fools very well, and
Yeah.
especially when it comes to somebody that's going to be trying to get in front of me and say they're going to go do this for me. Okay, I've hired agents before in my lifetime. They go out and they work for me on my behalf, and they have kind of this communication with me. All right, so this political thing, I'm kind of new to it still. So I mean, I had dabbled in it with the Convention of States, but that was just lobbying. And it wasn't until January of 21 when I went to my after kind of retiring from what I did politically, and that was just with Convention of States. I started my first meeting that I went to was January of 21 because Rod Bray was going to be speaking there. And I went there and I sent him the question a week ahead of time because I knew his legislative assistant from that Convention of States work that I did years before. And now she's working for Rod Bray. So I send her the question and she guarantees me that she put it in Rod Bray's hands. And so he had a week to prepare. And I asked him this question in this public forum, it's Adam Harvey's meeting. And he says to me, I don't know. And I'm like, dude, this question was a fundamental thing about our Constitution. You're a lawyer. You're the Senate President pro tem. This is a responsibility established in our federal Constitution and given to the state legislature specifically, not the state, not the state's governor or the state's judicial branch. It was given to the legislative branch of various states. And you just pissed it away because you don't even know that it was in the federal Constitution. That blew my mind, and I've gone apoplectic ever since.
Yeah, I have seen you wound up to the, and you know what? It gets that frustrating. I mean, I feel your pain on this because it just seems like you're yelling at a stump, or you're that. So here you go. Thor's got a good. Only registered voters should be able to donate to campaigns, but only only candidates in their districts. That would, I could go for that.
We need to do a whole show on lobbyists, guys. Like, it really,
lobbyists.
No, like, you can't just wave your hand at it. Like,
I'd wave both hands at it. No, I agree, but that they get things done. The lobbyists are. I'm sorry, they're like ticks on the hound. They're not getting them off. They are.
You talk like the acrimony. I like history. And maybe I know history is boring for a lot of people, but the election of 1800 between John Adams and Thomas Jefferson, that was acrimonious. And it was, like a pivotal moment because the nation was still kind of young and they realized the printing press was still kind of new technology here. Not very many people owned printing presses. And those people who did were powerful because they could spread the message. And so Adams pretty much had his newspaper, Jefferson had his newspaper, and they flooded the market with all of this misinformation and whatnot. And it was, who paid for that? Thomas Jefferson didn't pay for all that. Paper was expensive. Ink was expensive. John Adams didn't pay for all that. So, this game has been played where the money in politics has always been there. It will always be there. And it is up to the individual, regardless of their socioeconomic background, to pull their head out of their ass and figure out who is lying to me.
Yeah, there was a famous quote from the 1800s. Money is the mother's milk of politics. And it has. But, you think about it now, it's like X against TikTok. I mean, we have the same thing, and it costs money to get on those advertising spaces. And, we don't have the big TV commercial stuff anymore. Radio still blurts some stuff out there, but where do people get the honest information? Because it's bought and paid for. Lucy, I know that I can see you up there. You got a question. I know you want to tell me something about how corrupt the media is.
Well, it's disturbing to me that the money and the politics, and David is pointing all of this out beautifully and bringing the receipts, is that who do we trust? I mean, small podcasts often have the best information. I mean, look what David has exposed here on Mouthwash, things that I'm not seeing in the major news. I'm not seeing WTHR doing this, because they want to play footsie with the politicians behind the scenes because they know that they're going to get advertising dollars from them. So the people who aren't on the take are the ones that we should be able to trust.
Yeah, that is true, because I know that that they do not want to make these parties mad because they won't advertise on their station. I believe Channel 13 or WT, I don't know which one it is. They are one of the, that's Channel 6, I think. Or, I don't know, whatever it is. They switched it back in the 70s, and I've been screwed up ever since. It's like, I like the good old days when we had 4, 6, and 13 and 8, and sometimes Channel 20. Now Channel 20 is gone. So they know where their bread's butter. Now, there's one thing I'm going to give WIBC a compliment, that, Rob Kendall, who used to love Micah Beckwith, now hates Micah Beckwith. He's still advertising Life Church on his show. So, I don't know how that love-hate relationship's going, but
you cannot get around contract law.
Oh, well, there you go.
So I'm sure there's a contract involved in there somewhere where it's got to be Rob Kendall shilling for New Life Church. Otherwise, they'd be somebody else from WIBC.
I wonder if they're doing that on purpose.
No, probably in the contract. I mean, New Life Church
blew my mind with that one.
That's Brad still. He's back in the book section looking at friggin' the fiction, looking at fiction to see what what episode of Star Trek this was. but well, we're getting close to the end here, but these are the type of things that we'll see what happens, because you have some things in court, and I might just have to put something out there too, and I believe you are with another person on this case. So
can I send a quick message to Cindy Mowry?
Oh yeah, we'll let you.
Cindy, you are the president of the Marion County Agricultural Affairs Association, and I requested a public documents request to your nonprofit there, and I wanted the 22, 23, and 24 Form 990s that were accepted by the IRS. And that's what the IRS expects you to send me. And until you send me that, you're in violation of that IRS regulation. And it's $60 a day for every day after 30 days. Your 30 days were up on August 3rd. So do the math.
It's a lot of $60. They're going to have to charge extra for parking next year.
I don't get the money. The IRS can get the money, but that's what the fairgrounds is faced with right now, because what they sent me forms, but they're not the forms that were accepted by the IRS. And it's simple to see because the signature block is incomplete.
Can you get that from the IRS?
No, the IRS says they don't have it. That's just what I'm saying.
There we go. I'm telling you, it is just Lucy, you don't even want to know. This has been going on for years. And I think it got to this point of sloppiness and it's just awful. So they've gotten away with it so long that they just do not care. They do not think they're going to get caught. They do not think that there's any consequences. They're just going to keep doing it. And then if you get somebody to come along that may want to try to make some changes in, say, an election board or maybe a state party or whatever, they lift heaven and earth to discourage and destroy. And in this case, cheat. So, that's where we are on things. So I would say, Lucy being a libertarian isn't that bad, because you're not a Democrat, you're not a Republican. And, David and I don't know if you're registered a Republican, but I've tried to be Republican. And David, you've tried to be Republican. Oh, Brad, I thought you did it was the Bud Light too long.
No, I had to go to the bathroom. Yeah.
That's I thought you were Irish goodbye-ist. So
no, not yet.
But I think honestly,
tiny bladder.
I think everybody on here could say they're loosely affiliated with their party. Is that correct, Lucy? I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I know that there's some folks that you don't agree with in yours. And Brad, I mean, we almost got you talked into being a moderate. So I know
But it's for me, it's more on my end. Like I don't like if they want to, hang out, great. But
Well,
yeah,
I don't.
You're too
I
easy.
hate the parties.
Me and David are going to put on a seminar on how to be more edgy, and you could come to it, and we'll show you how to make people.
No,
mad.
we all got to.
You're good. You're good. Just
well, I want to tell you right now. I abhor the party system. This country was not founded on the party system. Our Constitution was written to thwart the party system.
We need to bring back the Whigs.
Yeah,
the Whig party.
Yeah,
let's just revive it and just.
So they can run around and try to stuff their heads up each other's ass. Yeah, that's a good thing for the Whigs to do. So yeah, our Constitution was written such that they knew that the frailties of men, they knew the things of natural law, and they knew the proclivities and the virtue of man. And man's virtues are not all righteous.
Yeah,
for every righteous virtue, there is an evil virtue.
We have seen that for sure.
Completely understood that. And we don't even talk about that anymore. We don't talk about natural law, and that's just the way people are. And so our government that document was written such that they knew that people would turn into self-serving cunts, and they are.
Yeah. Well, on that note, that's a positive note. That's a positive note that we're going to end the show on. Now, David, we want you to come back. Path Blue Ribbon, bluegills. That's what we call them in college, bluegills. So, we want to keep track of this because, right now it's in the court system right now. We're supposed to be getting some stuff back. And I do believe there's going to be a motion on Cindy Mowry's Board of Accounts from the state and her situation of her owing the money back. And she's refused to pay. All these things are sort of tied together. And I think it's a house of cards. And boy, I wouldn't want to be the queen of spades in that house of cards.
John, can I say this again? I mean,
you sure can.
Natalie Goodwin, where the hell are you?
Hey, she's on a new board now. She's already moved on from Marion County.
Right.
She's Indiana Chamber of Commerce queen.
Cindy Mowry is the co-director of the Marion County Board of Voter Registration, and that job is completely beholden to the chairman of the county party. So for Cindy Mowry, it's Natalie Goodwin. For Alex Narinda, who I think is the other co-director, the Democrat, it's whoever the Democrat party is. It Freeman, LaDonna Freeman. I
don't know who's in charge of it anymore. It used to be Kate Sweeney Bell, but I don't know.
So anyway, but for Cindy Mowry's job, she serves in her job at the pleasure of Natalie Goodwin. If Cindy Mowry doesn't wear deodorant one day, Natalie Goodwin can fire her for that.
Well, okay.
I mean,
I think we know that's not going to happen. I think
there's no, she needs no reason to employ her. She serves at her whim,
So I guess it's okay to have somebody that allegedly stole money to paint their house at the fairgrounds. And
this is part of Natalie Goodwin's promised professionalism. Remember that? She was going to bring professionalism.
I was on the campaign trail. I listened to all the stuff that she said.
Who really wants, I want somebody just to kind of come in and wrecking ball the system.
Hey,
a little bit, just to,
I had it teed up, Brad. I had it teed up and they saw me coming. So
I want to drive that front end loader right through the first floor.
Yeah, I want to killdozer. It's going to be killdozer. So yeah. Well, you know what? I think tonight's show was a little vetting. I know it was venting, not vetting, and vetting. We did some vetting. We, like I said, we have the receipts. Come for us if you want to do whatever. This is not alleged. This is receipts. So we've vetted a little bit tonight, vented a little bit because it's frustrating because nobody really, you see all this. Oh, we want election integrity. And where is our Secretary of State? Isn't he supposed to be in charge of the stinking things? Well, I know we're getting ready to go, but David, I'm going to let you last word this thing.
Okay. Well, you said something about Secretary of State.
I know. And I saw you light up.
And I've got a question for all three candidates about Secretary of State. Now, you said you didn't want to talk about it tonight.
I know.
Maybe one day we can talk about this, but this goes directly to, is Indiana as a state going to control its voter registration? Because currently right now, Indiana has given all that control to the federal government. Whatever the federal government writes as voter registration law, Indiana has a state law that recognizes federal law. Whatever the feds say, that's our state law. That's how it's written in our state law book. It says Indiana state law, whatever the feds say, that's what we do.
Yep. And Lucy brings up a
Thank
good
goodness
point.
for that. You know, they know what they're doing.
Lucy put in the private chat, which I shared with everybody, that we need to have Andrew Horning and David on at the same time. I think
Oh my God. And Lucy,
it would shut
when you
down.
typed that, I was thinking the exact same thing. 'Cause
Yeah.
it gave me the sense of woe, you know, that you get when
Yes.
Andrew goes on about like realistic, depressing stuff. And you're like, yeah, okay.
Well, David, I've got to give it to you. You are like my second favorite guest. The only person I'm putting ahead of you is Andrew Horning,
Oh,
because
really?
the way that you can both spit facts and you love history. And if you haven't read
Yes.
Andy Horning's books, you know, go get them on Amazon. They're a real treat.
And
But you know, you're always looking for how do you fix this, and that's what I like about what you brought here tonight. Is
I just don't
you
know
brought
how
the
many
receipts
people.
and a solution.
Yeah, I don't know how many people really want it fixed. I think they're so busy and they just so fed up about it. But Andrew Horning's dad was a B-2 bomber pilot, and he's got some stories about crash. I mean, he's like, it wasn't like, oh, I just went over there for a tour of France. No, he was like in it. So very interesting. And so we'll do that. We'll do that again. Let's let this case get going a little bit. It takes forever. I mean, we're talking about a 2021 campaign finance thing. You know, it just takes forever to vet these things out.
You know.
And honestly, people's eyes glaze over. But David, you did a great job explaining this tonight. And hopefully some of our folks will get fired up about this and ask some questions. But be careful.
But this is what AI
this
is what AI should be for, is just simplifying that process, making everything faster, more accessible, easier. Like that's where
And
AI could
that
improve.
begs the
Wait,
question.
you're giving away how Abdul files lawsuits.
No, wait a second. You were giving what you were saying is the unspoken. Who's programming the AI?
Right.
Right.
It's like, you know,
Well, it can't be Grok because Elon's always mad at him.
Yeah, but that's
or her.
Grok is Elon. You're so vulnerable.
But
Who's
they,
that?
like, they battle each like Grok says
Who's
a
that?
fact,
You'll like
and
this.
everybody's like, that's not right. And
You'll like this,
Elon's like,
Brad,
well, we got
because
to retool it.
you're a librarian. People need to go read Heinlein. They need to read Orwell. They need to see
Yes. Brave
the
New World.
vision that we're now living. Yeah, Brave New World was one of my
And
favorites.
1984, baby. Big Brother is
Yep.
watching us like crazy, unless you get assassinated and nobody's watching you.
Animal
Apparently,
Farm,
so
too.
I know they know my credit card numbers and everything. So
Well, all right. How about that? You guys want to read those things? I'd tell you to read Bastiat.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Bastiat, because Bastiat was a newspaper man and Karl Marx was a newspaper man, and they were contemporaries, and they battled one another in their newspapers. Not like communication was back then, but nevertheless, that Bastiat would read what Marx would write and respond. Marx would read what Bastiat would write and respond, and they were on polar ends. So read Bastiat.
Thank you for that insight. I did not realize they were contemporaries.
all right, now we're gonna get into the reading club. I got a librarian and two freaking book.
Damn
readers
right
on
we
here.
are.
It's like, yeah, I'll just take myself off the show. And that's
Learned
what I love
tonight.
about that's what I love about our viewers. Thor pointed out it's not B-2 bomber, it's the B-52s, like the rock group. That he flew a B-52 bomber. So thank you, Thor. I like that you pay attention, because you know what? I don't always get it right. I rarely get it right. So I appreciate the fact that you're fact checking me live on the air. It's great.
Corrections, man. That's like my favorite
Yeah, it's
Seth
like,
Meyers
hey,
bit.
we're just, we're, like I said, I barely get this thing put on every week. I believe we
You do
have
great,
some,
John.
we
Don't-
have somebody
don't
coming
let
on
the
next
haters
week.
win.
I can't remember who it is, but I'm trying to stay a week ahead so I can announce it on the show. But again, gone. So, but anyway, hey, just stay tuned to the, I do a show preview live before church, usually around 8:30, depending on how fast I can get everything together. And I put a little extra stuff in there that may not be show related. But hey, and I thank Brad, and I think Tiffany's watching into that Fever game, because either that or she had to go to the bathroom because of her Bud Light. But anyway, That's good. And David, stick on after the show. I always forget to tell people that, and we'll close it out. So anyway, here we go. It's good to go. No conspiracy tonight. Sorry, Lucy. I'm not up for it. I can't
David
conspiracy.
is great tonight, man. Thank you.
So it's good. It's very good. So, all right. Well, we'll see you next week, 9:00 live. Adios.
Yeah.